about and preach like Jesus and the apostles did. You cannot stand in a public place and start preaching, it doesn't work. You have to find new ways according to our culture. We have to adjust our ways of teaching to the present situation of the world. Most of our initiative to teach and disseminate should be one-on-one, or with the help of presentation given in study group or in conferences like this one, or by way of the internet, such as UBIS school that the foundation is using. Not only can we teach to the regular people we meet every day, but we must not forget to teach ourselves. Teach ourselves. The pride of unspiritualized learning is a treacherous thing in human experience. The true teacher maintains intellectual integrity by ever remaining a learner. Again, from the eventually. I will read to you a version of a parable of the sowers that I found in my search and that I find appropriate for us who must learn to become better teachers. It is called, "What Kind of Soil Are You?" It was written by Linda Sue Puchaskasday Edwards, a long name. I found that on my search. And this is the title she gave to that parable, taken from the parable of the sowers. It is the story of a mother and her three children. Listen to that. Sometimes people ask us, how can we teach our children? Well, this woman is doing this with her kids. So she has 3 kids to which she's teaching. So I'm going to mimic the children. I want to help. Me too. Can I please? The children gathered around excitedly as Mom took the seed packet out of her shopping bag. So she had a packet of little seeds. I want the carrots. Then give me the pumpkins. But I don't want to plant onions. Yuck. With a laugh, Mom divided the seeds among the children. This year, each of you will have your own garden. You will get to choose where you want to plant your seeds. And you will be responsible for weeding and watering your own plot. So before you get started, you need to go outside and search carefully for the perfect spot. By that, the children went outside. They looked around the front yard and the backyard. They considered things like where the sun would come up in the morning and how far the water hose would reach. Each child chose the perfect place for planting the garden. Jerry took care to dig the soil perfectly. He removed all the weeds and rocks he found and read the back of the package to make sure the seeds were planted deep enough. He faithfully tended his garden all summer long. On the other day, when the others didn't want to work in their garden, he could be found working diligently outside. Sally started off right. She also made sure her garden was planted in good soil and removed the weeds and rock. However, as times went on, she lost interest in her plants. Other things became more important to her. Instead of working in the garden on those hot summer days, she preferred to spend her time talking on the telephone to her friends. It didn't take long for weeds to grow and take over the garden. Soon it became difficult to tell exactly which were the seeds and the weeds. The plants and the weeds. Billy didn't think he needed to go to all that trouble. He didn't realize how important it was to have a good soil. He didn't want to dig deep because the rocks were in the way. And it was hard to dig them out. So he just left them there and tried planting his seeds around the rocks. Then there was Jill. She took her seed and just scattered them around on top of the ground. She quickly lost interest and didn't bother to even try to take care of her garden the rest of the summer. Now take a few minutes to think about what kind of harvest each children was able to get from his garden when summer was over and it was time to pick the right vegetables. If you guess that Jerry had a good harvest, you are absolutely right. He had plenty of vegetables. In fact, he was able to set up a table in front of his house and sell some of this to his neighbor. Sally had some good vegetables, but most of them were small. Because the weeds grew up and took the nutrition out of the ground, she was unable to sell any of her vegetables because people were buying cherries. Billy didn't have much to pick. His plant had a little soil around them, and at first they looked like they were going to grow. But when the really hot day came, the poor plant just couldn't live. They withered and died. Unfortunately, Jill didn't have any plants by the end of the summer. Remember how she scattered her seeds on top of the ground? Well, the birds came along and had themselves quite a good lunch out of the seeds. They didn't leave any seeds to grow into plants. Let us think about this. What kind of sower are we? What kind of sowers are we? What kind of sowers do we want to be? Like Jill? Or like the oldest brother? What would we need to do to become a good sower? We have to think about, and this is the program, we have to embark on something if we want to do something. How can we do something if we're not organized? So we need something in place to organize things so we can learn easily, efficiently about what to do. We're not here to lose our time. So where should we start? Maybe by looking at the life of Jesus, like their villager instruct us to do, and see what we could find. The paper and URANTIA book about the life of Jesus are full of extraordinary examples on how we could become very effective teachers. Why not explore and practice with the help of the study groups what we could learn in them? Even Jesus in his own time has trained the apostles as teachers. So what are we waiting for? If we're instructed for 8,000 to study group, would it not be the ideal place in our present day society and cultures to effectively train teachers? It's like small classroom. In today's world, self-training with the help of a good program can be very effective. I know because I have in an area devoted to healthcare been involved in self-training program and ministered in a group that was very effective. We can train ourselves in study groups. If we reflect on how Jesus taught, he always used the natural methods of teaching. I repeat, natural methods of teaching. Never resorted to special techniques. Always natural, replicable techniques. It's important we understand this. Always and everywhere did he say, you shall do this, you have to do that. Never did he employ the negative mode of teaching derived from the ancient taboos. He refrained from placing emphasis on evil by forbidding it, while he exalted the good by commending its performance. Again, from the ritual. Not only do we need to become good intellectual teachers, but also to become spiritual teachers as well. This will require from us to be coherent with what we teach. In simple words, we have to be and live what we will teach if we want to be and to become efficient teachers and disseminators. To improve oneself is part of the work that is probably the hardest and most difficult to do. It's easy to tell someone else to change. We all do this. But to change oneself, that's the hardest part. Because we have to create habits, like the URANTIA book tells us. We tend to think of ourselves as very spiritual because of the intellectual and spiritual knowledge we possess. Not because we read URANTIA book that we're spiritual. That could be a lie. A very dangerous lie. The ego likes to think that. And he has all kinds of ways to manipulate your thinking. thinking that because you know the book by heart, you're so spiritual. Oh, you might fall prey to that, but be careful. But spirituality is a lot more than knowledge. It is a dynamic way of life that produces many fruits. Here's what Jesus taught to his apostles and disciples when restored at Tyre and Sidon. Spiritual living mightily increased through self-respect. But self-respect is not self-admiration. Self-respect is always coordinated with the love and service of one's fellow. It is not possible to respect yourself more than you love your neighbor. The one is the measure of the capacity for the other. As the day passed, every true believer became more skillful in alluring his fellows into the love of eternal truth. Are you more resourceful in revealing goodness to humanity today than you were yesterday? Are you a better righteousness recommender this year than you were last year? Are you becoming increasingly artistic in your technique of leading hungry souls into the spiritual kingdom? Are your ideals sufficiently high to ensure your eternal salvation, while your ideas are so practical as to render you a useful citizen to function on earth in association with your mortal fellows? In the spirit, your citizenship is in heaven. In the flesh, you are still citizen of the earth kingdom. Render to Caesar the things which are material, and to God those which are spiritual. The measure of the spiritual capacity of the evolving soul is your faith in the truth and your love for man. But the measure of your human strength of character is your ability to resist the holding of grudges. The holding of grudges. Good one. And your capacity to withstand broad brooding in the face of deep sorrow. Defeat is the true mind mirror in which you may honestly view your real self. These are hard lessons to learn, when you think about that. No one likes to face defeat, even I. As you grow older in years and more experience in the affair of the kingdom, are you becoming more tactful in dealing with troublesome mortals and more tolerant in living with stubborn associates? Tact is the fulcrum of social leverage, and tolerance is the earmark of a great soul. If you possess these rare and charming gifts, as the day passes, you will become more alert and expert in your worthy efforts to avoid all unnecessary social misunderstanding. Such wise souls are able to avoid much of the trouble, which is certain to be the portion of all who suffers from lack of emotional adjustment. Those who refuse to grow up and those who refuse to grow old gracefully. When I was younger, I was looking at old people that were really, always mad at things, and I could not understand that. I said, are we supposed to grow wiser as we grow old, better? And in many old people, I could not see that. I see old people, they had a grudge, they were mad at everyone. Is it the way we want to grow? So I decided to embark on a trip to transform myself. And we can all do so. It's not an easy trip, but we can do it. Avoid dishonesty and unfairness in all your efforts to preach truth and proclaim the gospel. Seek no unearned recognition and crave no undeserved sympathy. Love, freely received from both divine and human sources, regardless of your desert. And love freely in return, but in all other things related to honor and adulation, seek only that which honestly belongs to you. The God-conscious mortal is certain of salvation. He is unafraid of life. He is honest and consistent. He knows how bravely to endure unavoidable suffering. He is uncomplaining when faced by inescapable hardship. The true believer does not grow weary in well-doing just because he is thwarted. Difficulty weeds the harder of the truth lover, while obstacles only challenge the exertion of the undaunted kingdom builders. Again, that's from the URANTIA book. We can see by those teaching from the Master that to become good teachers is a lot more than just being intellectually knowledgeable. We have much work to do, not only as an organization, but also as individuals. Could it be that the leaders knew what could be achieved by creating thousands of study groups? Could they help us achieve the personal growth that we need to become good teachers and disseminators of this revelation? You will become like the light to those who sit about in darkness, showing all those who desire the way to reach the harbor of salvation and safety. Today, with the advent of the computer and the internet, we want to move fast. Who doesn't want to move faster? Who wants to move fast? Everybody. Here we are. A bunch of you. Now, there's a saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a group. This is wisdom. I didn't invent this. But think about it. To go fast, yeah, you might, but do it alone. But if you want to go real far, go with a lot of friends around you. Because we have seen this. Where am I now? Today we didn't, we want to go fast, we want to change the world in one day, or at least part of it during our lifetime. Hey, we're like this, Here I am, I have 50 years left in my life, or 30 years, I just read the book. Now I want to change the whole world in this lifetime. Forget about tomorrow, it's now or never. You remember the garden? How long did it take for the garden to be built? How long?
80 years.
How much?
80?
150,000.
I think 92 years, I think. Not that long, but what I want to stress in this is that a lot of people that were working to build the gardens, they started to build when they were 20 years old. And then they asked Van and Anadon, when are they coming, those guys? Since the days of Adam and Eve, we're wishing for celestial help to come down and fix our problem. That's our problem. To always wait for someone to fix the thing for us. Even the apostle, after Jesus died, they were waiting for him to come back to fix the world. While he was there, they thought he would fix the problem, the political problem, the financial problem, the health problem, and everything. Even today, some of us want, let's God this hand on earth and kill all those souls that are not gold, they're not proper. It's us that needs to change this. So, we often forget that we are the children of evolution. That it took us years to become who and what we are. Many more years were needed to learn all we know. We might have forgotten the long hours of reading many philosophical, religious, and science books, the meditations that followed, and the prayers we did to find our way through the jungles of facts and innuendos. While being the natural offspring of evolution, culture, and education, we have and still are influenced by the concept of self-liberty left to us by our defaulted planetary prince. Never forget that. We are brought up in that concept of self-liberty, whether we agree to it or not. Look at the world out here today. You'll find out this is true. Those concepts have been ingrained in the early cultures of our planet for more than 200,000 years. You think you're going to raise that in the space of a generation? That's ludicrous. And it will take countless of years and maybe millennia to eradicate them from our society and educational system. One of my friends called this the Luciferian ways of thinking. Not that we are Luciferian, not that I say, but the way we some people are here, a teacher probably understand that better than others, that Aristotle created some system of education that we are caught on today. We think like Aristotle wanted us to think. I will not expand on this, but just want to emphasize the immensity of the task that is at hand. We are the builder of a new garden. And if we remember the many years it took man to prepare the garden, and it took him exactly 83 years, and it was not finished. We should be patient about our work of building the next garden for the coming of a new age and probably of a new teacher. Cosmic consciousness also means the acquirement of time perspective. Time perspective. It's more than a lifetime. When evolution is concerned, we're talking about evolution here. Not your lifetime, not my lifetime. Many lifetimes. You must again study the times of Jesus on earth. You must carefully take note of how the kingdom of heaven was inaugurated in this world. Did it evolve slowly or and unfold naturally? Or did it come with sudden show of force and with spectacular exhibition of power? Did it? Ask yourself these questions. Just don't read them with me, but ask them to yourself. For you that are the kingdom builder, you need to answer those questions. You need to meditate on them, ponder on them. Was it evolutionary or revolutionary? What did Lucifer do? We all know revolutionary. Even today, in the world, people are always looking at revolution. They think revolution is the way to go. Look at all the chaos it creates. Don't we learn? We know that. We should, help others to understand those little things. Looking at everything that has and is happening in our planet, we might conclude that revolution is the way of evolution. But is it the good way? If we want to share the URANTIA book and its teaching, do we want to revolutionize society or help the individual to participate in the natural evolution of our world, the way that Jesus did? Do we want to do things the way they were done in the days of Caligastia and Adam and Eve, or do we want to be a bit wiser by taking counsel of their relators? As an individual, you are free to choose your own ways, but as an organization, we must be wise and patient on how we do things. We're going farther than your life. You'll die and UAI will be there. Remember that. It's not us, some other will take over. You must learn to possess your soul in patience. You are in association with a revelation of truth, which is part of natural evolution of religion of this world. Our rapid growth will be societal. It's from the publication mandate. I'm nearly done. Be patient with me. After having found an important truth, we might have realized that it was always more than we could have or ever imagined or expected it to be. Which means, when I'm saying this, you might have thought about this. But think again. When you found the truth, when you found something that was the truth, you were looking for it a long time before you found it. You agree with me on that? Or did you just find truth just like this without searching for it? No. In fact, what you found, if you tell your neighbor about it, he probably won't believe you. Or he probably will say, so, he doesn't get it. But the other thing is that when you're faced with truth, when you look at it, when you find it, it is always more than what you were looking for. It did not appear exactly as you were expecting it to appear. It could not, because you didn't know it. You understand what I'm saying? You get it? I don't know if my word got across there. So when you teach a truth to someone else, you have to understand this, that it's the same for them. They will have to go through the process. So your job is not to give them the truth. Your job is to help them build the process. Put little things in place so they discover that truth by themselves. We might later reflect that the truth we found was always there within us, but scaffolding was needed to reach it. Or as a famous sculptor once said, to sculpt the body of a beautiful woman, I need to remove everything from the block of stone that is not that woman. Think about that. Want to sculpt a beautiful woman in rock, or a beautiful man if you're a woman? What you do, you remove everything that's not that woman or that man. Is that so true? We probably understood that the truth we found contained within itself moral and spiritual responsibility, such as changing our life to accommodate new meanings and values. If we reflect on how we found what we were searching for, we will gain some insights on how we can become better disseminators or teachers. We might find we had a strong desire to know more, that we were thirsty for truth and meanings. We might also realize it took us years to discover what we were searching for. Was not the process of searching as important as the result of our search? Think about that. Isn't it the journey as important as the end of the journey? Remember what someone said while he was in paradise? He said, I still remember the first day. I longed for the first day of my evolving career because the journey was fun. And this is what we reminisce when we're old. We think about the time we're young. You know, that we grew. Did not the process of churching in some way help our adjust our mind for the truth we were looking for? Could we have recognized the truth on the lower level of our scaffolding if someone had shown it to us? Think about those questions. So it will be with most people we will meet for the rest of our life, trying to share with them what we know. Let's not deprive them of the immense satisfaction and pleasure of discovering the truth for themselves. Let us be respectful of who they are. Let us remember Jesus taught most to the one he said the least. Very important. Dissemination is an art that requires patience and respect for the other, and an art that understands the nature of the mind of man and the nature of the indwelling spirit inhabiting it. We have found the URANTIA book, and in it there is probably everything we need to learn to become good disseminators. And by doing our studies in group, we will certainly find better ways of doing this. When 3 or more of you meet in my name, I will be among you, said Jesus. Another very good reason to have study groups, don't you say? Not often in the life of the planet, it is given to its inhabitants, like us, to participate in the unfoldment of a revelation. How many of you wish at one time to have lived in the time of Jesus? How many of you? I was one. Huh? Don't you know that today you have within your hand a revelation that's as powerful as Jesus? He's the one that authorized this. You're part of his gang. So it's like he's there with us. So this is why it's so important. We have been given this privilege because of our sincere desire to search and find the truth. Remember that. We have given this privilege because of our desire, sincere desire. Sincerity, more sincerity, more sincerity. This is, it says in the URANTIA book. So this gives us the responsibility. But many of us do not realize this fully, and so we are letting other means of communication and contact take over the responsibility that came with the discovery of this revelation. A personal contact with others will always remain the most effective form of dissemination. For it involves partnership with God in the presence of the top adjuster, the Spirit of Truth, and the Holy Spirit. And I'm concluding, as the URANTIA book says, you cannot reveal God to those who do not seek for Him. You cannot lead unwilling souls in the joy of salvation. Men must become hungry for truth as a result of the experience of living. Or he must desire to know God as a result of contact with the lives of those who are acquainted with the Divine Father before any other human being can act as the means of leading such a fellow mortal to the Father in heaven. You are sometimes the means by which they will know God or desire to know Him. So what are you doing with your life? It's very important. Remember, not only are we the light and salt of this earth, we are also the sowers of the seed of truth that will help elevate this world spiritually. Isn't that exciting? You know, when I think about that, I have feeling, I have what do you call it? Goosebumps.
Chicken skin.
Make the most of your time on this planet. Join us in the efforts of training teachers and becoming better disseminators. When man goes in partnership with God, great things will and does happen. Thank you.